Hi, I'm Andrew.
And I'm Sam.
And we're going to be board gaming. And today we're going to be doing a review of Empire's End by John D. Clare and published by Brotherwise Games. I'm going to give you guys a quick overview of how the game's played, and we'll come back and give you our final thoughts. So as you can see, I've gone ahead and I've set up a two-player game of Empire's End. This game is going to be played over a series of phases indicated here on the central board. And as this marker moves, you will complete those phases. Those phases are going to range from a disaster phase, an economy phase, a industrial phase or an industry phase, and a military phase until the end of the game. And so what you're going to be doing in this game essentially is that you are going to be trying to avoid disasters and build up your empire while also making sacrifices in order to score the most points at the end of the game. And the way that's going to work is I'm going to kind of take you through each of the different phases and how those are going to work, and that way you can see how the game's going to play. So we're going to start here with the disaster phase, which is going to be the most common phase that you're going to come across. And so in the disaster phase, what you're going to do is, and as you can see, everybody's going to have the same setup. You're going to have your little kingdom board. These tiles are going to be random at the beginning. Whoever the first player is going to shuffle up their tiles and place them out randomly, and everybody else is going to place their tiles in the exact same orientation. You're also going to get a screen with a set number of starting goods that you're going to keep behind them. And you're also going to start with 4 disaster cards, which we'll talk about a little bit, and some extra tokens that we'll discuss as well. So jumping into the phases, the disaster phase here is going to be where you're going to take the top disaster card of the disaster deck, you're going to flip it over, okay? And this is going to be the disaster that's going to be hitting the empire. And what you're going to be doing, so this one is a famine, is you're going to be going around the table bidding to not take this card, kind of like no thanks, right? To where you are going to pay, in this case, a food in order to avoid taking this disaster. And it's going to keep going around and around and around until somebody decides, okay, I don't want to take it. Then maybe it's Nick's turn. He decides he doesn't want to take it. Then maybe Vic decides she doesn't want to take it. And then keep going around until somebody either can't pay the cost or says, you know what, this is going to not hurt me too bad, or I'm willing to take the price, because the way that this is going to work is that this is going to destroy a certain tile in your empire. In this case, it's going to be the one in the number 2 slot, which is my 32-point city, which is pretty big. So you would want to make sure that you get a lot of resources in order to justify destroying your highest scoring tile. So you're going to want to be going around and around and around, trying to push that off onto someone else, or at least getting enough resources to justify taking it. And so what you're going to do, whoever does take this disaster card, that area, that tile is going to get destroyed. So it's going to get flipped over. Now it can be rebuilt in the future, but you're also going to get the bottom, which is going to be a little upgrade to your kingdom. And you're going to pick one of the tiles that is not destroyed to tuck this under. So very similar to Space Base, in that, if you're familiar, that this gets compared to that kind of thing, to that game. So you're going to tuck these under one of these undestroyed tiles, and then you're going to have an added ability throughout the game. And so every disaster phase, that's going to be the thing. You're going to be flipping over disaster card, and you're going to be going around, and you're going to be bidding on them. Whoever is the last to receive a disaster card will get this first player token, so they will initiate the next disaster phase when it comes up. Okay, so the next phase we're going to talk about is going to be this economy phase. This economy phase is going to be pretty simple. What you're going to be doing is, this is when you're going to be gathering a bunch of resources, and that's going to be indicated by all the green abilities. So as you can see here, you have green abilities, brown abilities. There's also some red there, but we'll get to that. So with the economy phase, everything that's marked economy, you're able to do. So in this case, I would gain 1 axe, I would get a hammer, I would get a food, but I could also turn 2 wheat into either a hammer or an axe. And you're also going to have some of these icons here where you're going to be able to get rid of some abilities allow you to use these cubes in order to trigger them, and they're going to let you take those cubes off. So that's going to be a big help with being able to activate a lot of those abilities. So during that economy phase, that's when you're going to be triggering all of those abilities in order to get those effects and get those resources that then you can bid on in the future. So that's essentially how an economy phase is going to work. And then you're going to go through, do some more disaster phases, and then we're going to come to this industry phase. And here is where you are going to be able to activate your brown abilities. You're also going to have an opportunity to repair a destroyed tile, as well as being able to get some potential upgrades or sell them. So you're going to always have a hand of 4 disaster cards, and at the very bottom, they're all going to have these different uh, abilities here, and each one is going to cost either 1 or 2 hammers. Now, with these brown abilities, you're going to get a cost reduction of 1 hammer, and since I have both of them that are active, I'm going to have 2. So I can get this one for free and maybe this one for free if I want to play them, or maybe there's a 2 cost and I'll be able to get that one for free. But once they're used, then you can't buy other ones, so you only have this during that industry phase. Or so you're able to build 2 of these, or you can sell 2 or buy 1, sell 2, however you want to do it, and you'll get a gold for each one. And gold is nice because gold is wild when it comes to resources. And after you're done buying these and implementing them, then you will draw 4 more for the next time. And a lot of these, as I'll show you, they're going to give you more green abilities, brown abilities, military strength, which is going to be the red, and it might depend on, maybe it's a if the tiles adjacent to them are destroyed, you're going to get a military strength for it. You might get extra resources for if the tile that it's placed on gets destroyed. You could also get some end game abilities. So this one is 2 points for each tile that is destroyed at the end of the game, or maybe you'll get points based on things that are adjacent to it during the economy phase. So you're going to have a number of different things. The yellow ones are always end game scoring points that you're going to be getting. But you're also going to have the option to be able to potentially move some tiles around. That's what the city is. You can rearrange your tiles and putting them in different spots, that kind of thing. So that's what you're going to be doing during this industry phase. You're going to be able to spend hammers in order to repair those tiles. So this main city here is going to take 12 hammers in order to repair it. You can only ever repair 1 tile per industry phase. So you want to be careful with which one you're going to be repairing, because there's only, as you can see in the 2-player game, there's only 3 industry phases. Then we're going to move on after we're all done with that. The last phase we're going to talk about is going to be the military phase here. And with the military phase, you're going to see this deck. And what you're going to do is you're going to flip this card over. And this is going to, you're going to be striving for this amount of military strength in order to get some extra victory points and some goodies. And what you're going to do is you're going to add up your military strength in your empire, and you are going to be able to bid any axes or coins from behind your screen to add to that military strength. You're going to put it in your hand as a secret, and all players are going to reveal to show how much they're willing to bid. And then you're going to look at where your strength is. Depending on where you land, you are going to get victory points and potential resources. And if you were the highest of all of them, or even if you tied, you're going to win the victory and you're going to get the additional up there. If you are the lowest, no matter what, you're going to do an upheaval where you're going to have to change your, in this case, the second highest scoring tile that you have in your empire is going to move to your 10th space on the board. So it's going to move around some of the different tiles in your empire and mix things up if you are the lowest. And you're going to keep doing this over and over and over until you get to the end of the game. And at the end, you are going to score points. You're going to get points for every healthy tile that is in your kingdom. You're also going to get any points from the end game cards that we talked about, the upgrades that are yellow. And whoever has the highest points is going to be the winner. And that's pretty much how you're going to do it. Really quick, straightforward turns. And yeah, whoever is able to suffer the least amount of destruction, or maybe benefit the most from the destruction that they do have, is going to be the winner. So let's take it back up top and give you our final thoughts.
All right, we're back to our review. So thank you, as always, for teaching us how to play. And I'll let you go first.
All right, so before we jump into our normal breakdown of things, this is the Kickstarter Deluxe Edition. The only thing is I did not get the deluxe components, so I was supposed to have the wooden chips, but those have still not come. I've been in contact with them a few times, They're supposed to be on their way. A couple different times I was told they'd be on the way. So hopefully I'll get them soon. So as we're talking about these different things, keep that in mind. Also, this is John D. Clair, and as you could probably see from the teach, this is a little bit like reverse space base kind of
It
thing.
is,
A little
yeah.
bit, right? Instead of like building up a fleet of starships, you are trying to keep your kingdom from burning down kind of thing, which is impossible. And so obviously I'm a big John D. Clair fan. Keep that in mind. But with that being said, with those disclaimers, we'll jump right in. So first is production. So looking at production, this is a good size. One thing I will say is the size of the box is pretty small. This is like a Cascadia size box, thinner than Cascadia actually, but it fits quite a bit of like quality components and the insert and everything in this box, which is great because in a time and age where everybody's going bigger and bigger boxes, I greatly appreciate having a game fit into a small box like this that takes up less room on the shelf. I really like the art. The box cover is gorgeous. The art on the cards with like the destruction on the back of the cards that I really like. Those are really nice. So I like the art on the cards. I think the iconography is pretty clear and straightforward. There were maybe a few that were a little bit troubling to understand a little bit, but the insert makes things really nice for setup and teardown, which we'll talk a little bit about. But yeah, I thought they did a pretty good job with production. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I thought so too. I would agree with the art. I thought the artwork was really cool. It does give that, like you said, space feel when we were playing it. Like, I mean, I know that's not just like production too.
Well, it's the same designer as well. So.
Yeah, so but yeah, I did like the art. I thought that, you know, like the cardboard pieces, like, you know, they're good quality and stuff. So
yeah, well, we'll get the wooden ones eventually. So
yeah,
hopefully.
Yeah, but all right. Well then, so moving on to preparation.
Yes. So preparation, talking about teardown setup. I did hint a little bit at that. The insert in the game in the box is really nice, easy to just give everybody their stuff right away, set it up. All you then have to do is just shuffle some cards and set up the main board for the track and your scores. That's pretty much it. So setup and teardown of this game is really quick. It could be a little difficult with the teach and knowing like what you're bidding and wanting like, okay, well, why would I ever want to take these disasters? And so it's kind of hard to teach, I would say, the get-go, because I think it plays with your mind, right?
Yeah.
Where you might want to take these things that destroy your empire, but it's just going to keep coming. And so there can be like that cost benefit of, okay, how much do I want to push this? And well, we'll get to that when we talk about gameplay. But I think it's going to take a couple plays to get through and understand how to actually play the game. That first one's going to be a little clunky as you go through the phases. Luckily, the game's not super long. It's only like 45 minutes to an hour. So it should be a pretty quick game. But it's going to be a little bit...
Once you know it.
Once you know it, that first game might be a little bit longer just as you're kind of playing through the different phases. So that, is, in my opinion, the teach can be a little tricky for people to grasp. But I think once you get through that first play, the second one will be much smoother.
Yeah, I agree with that. Because the first time I played it, I felt like I was just kind of like fumbling, like trying to figure out what a good plan would be. But that second game, I was like, oh, okay, it makes sense. Like, I'm gonna have to have, like, the fire, like the, what's it called?
The fire?
Like the buildings burning.
Oh yeah.
Like you're gonna have to take the destruction.
Right.
But what's like better destruction versus, you know what I mean? You gotta kind of like figure that out.
Well, you gotta feel like, okay, what do I have in that column? So with that being said, jumping into the gameplay of it, right? Because we're already kind of talking about it.
Right.
Definitely, if you are somebody who's played this more than once, you're gonna have I think you'll have a leg up on whoever you play. If you're playing a bunch. Now, if you're all going into the same time, I wouldn't expect very high scores. However, once you get that first game under your belt, I think you'll have it pretty much you'll understand it. But thematically, very thematic, right? There's these famines and just different disasters that are happening, a flood, whatever it is. They try to really tie that in. Yes, it's just cards and you're flipping over tiles and whatnot, but you're literally, these farms are getting destroyed because of a flood, or maybe there's a wildfire or whatever it was that happened, or barbarians came and attacked, right? So you're trying to decide, okay, which disaster do I want to take into my kingdom? Because each of those different locations, yes, you all start off in the same place, but I like that space feel where you can move cards around. And in this one, I think it's even more important to kind of move around than maybe space was. But I'm trying to get those in the right
especially
orders.
the cards that you can tuck, because that's part of it too. Is the second game, I was more focused on like, okay, you know, there's end game scoring for the cards that you tuck, but also you have to really think about placement, because you have some cards that, hey, if I have, you know, destruction on either side, I get this
Extra
many points.
Or
So
if I have farms on both sides, or towns or roads,
Yeah, so what you tuck is important too, because I think the first game I was kind of just like, oh, whatever, like stick it wherever. But you do have to think it out of how you want to tuck those.
Right, and then you're trying to, as you're deciding on those end game scoring, or those different, because you might get things that help you in the income phase or in the building phase, that kind of stuff. You're going to have those abilities, so you want to make sure you put them under different zones or different tiles that you're going to want to make you. Because I worry about like putting anything valuable under a low scoring tile, because I'm willing to let that one burn.
That's true.
You know, so you have that thought process of what am I willing to sacrifice, what am I not, how do I move these around and hoping that I can avoid this. And then you're also kind of looking at what other people have on their board, because if a tile comes up and you're like, ooh, that's their big city, that's, you know, 25, 32 points, whatever, they're going to put a lot of stuff on there because they don't want to lose that big tile. So I'm going to try to drag this out to get more goodies for whatever is getting destroyed. So I like that gameplay mechanic of it's very thinky and puzzly about where you're going to put those tiles, what upgrades you want to put with what. And then also knowing what do you have in your zone. Yes, we start off the same way, but using those abilities to move things around, I think is important. And then that can kind of work in your favor. So I thought there's not a whole lot of downtime. It's a pretty quick, snappy game, I would say. Like I said, it does play 45 minutes to an hour. But I mean, there is some luck, right? Depending on what disasters come out. I mean, you can mitigate that luck a little bit through the different abilities that you get. But it is going to be based on, you know, what you draw and what upgrades you get potentially, or what disaster hits what zone. So there is some luck there, but you can mitigate it a little bit. I mean, it's all about disasters. Disasters come. I mean, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So it doesn't bother me
that
much. It doesn't bother me that much.
Right.
So, did you have anything that you wanted to add about gameplay?
I don't think so.
No? All right, so then that brings us to our last point, which is essentially leads us into our scores. Did we feel like the time and effort that went into getting this to the table, did it meet, did it exceed, did it fall short of our expectations?
Okay.
So our return on investment is what I always like to call this part.
Yeah.
So, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. Honestly, I didn't really have a lot of expectations. I feel like I guess the first game, it fell short for me. And I was kind of like, okay. But then the second game, I felt like it meted, like, you know... meted? Did I say meted?
Yeah.
It met expectations.
It meted it.
It's late. But yeah, anyway, so I felt like the second game I gave it more of a chance.
Yeah.
Because I actually knew more of what I was doing in the gameplay, so then it was more enjoyable.
Oh, so after your second play, you were better off than later.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. For me, I had high expectations, right? It's a John D. Clair game. John D. Clair is one of my favorite designers. It's like Space Base. Space Base has been in my top 10. I don't know if it still is. You guys have to check those videos out. Top 10 of all time. So I had very high expectations going into this. So understanding that, I would say this slightly under, but I had super high expectations. I think if I had a legit, like, oh, I'm just coming into it I think it would just meet it. It would be okay. So with that being said, jumping into because I think there's, thinking about player count, some of the stuff is a lot of it's very simultaneous at the same time. So, I mean, I would play this at any player count. I don't mind playing. I think there's a lot of replayability there with it. Yeah, I just think my expectations are really high for it, and it wasn't like mind blowing. I mean, it's a cool idea, a cool theme. But I think I just had high expectations.
Your pieces, your upgraded
right? Yeah,
pieces.
that's true. I'm trying not to let that affect me too much. That's just some wooden pieces. But anyway, let's jump into final scores.
Okay. I'm gonna give it, I think, a 6.5. Like, it was just okay for me. I kept thinking while we were playing it, I was like, I like Space more. Yeah. But but I really knew nothing about this until you were like, hey, I got this game, let's play it. But yeah, it was just okay.
This is much quicker than Space, though.
I think
with all the stuff that we added in every regard. Setup, tear down.
Space has like a lot more that goes into it, I feel.
Yeah, so with that, and I'm not trying to compare this to Space, I think this is good for what it is. I think it was unfair of me to expect something like Space, even though a lot of people compare it to that. I think that was unfair. I still really enjoy the game. To me, I think I still give this a 7.8. So it's still pretty good. I like Space more, but that's the last thing I'm going to say about it. But I think this is a good game on its own. I don't think it should be compared to that other game I was talking about. But I think this is a good production. I think it was a good quality game. I think it's one that will continue to grow on me, and something that's just different and feels fun, right? And so even if your stuff is getting destroyed, it is a lot of fun to play. So yeah, I'm giving it a 7.8.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good.
So with that being said, please let us know what you think of Empire's End. Is this one that you are looking forward to, or have any kind of... I would like to know what your expectations would be for this game. Let us know down in the comments. Also, please like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.